Hi and welcome back. Are you part of the middle class, or is it just an illusion? Welcome to Prosper and Create Real Wealth. Today, we're diving into a modern mystery, the ever-changing landscape of the middle class. Is it disappearing, evolving, or simply becoming like other eroding middle classes in other countries around the world? We'll explore surprising insights, debunk myths, and unveil the truth about your place in it. Are you ready to see behind the curtain? Stay tuned because this journey might just change the way you view your place in the economy and how you can improve it. Imagine the American middle class as a once thriving coral reef, a diverse and vibrant ecosystem within the ocean of the economy. This reef represents the middle class, with its intricate balance of life and resources symbolizing the various opportunities and securities that define a comfortable lifestyle. However, this reef is now facing relentless and powerful currents from all directions. These currents are the economic challenges that we face: inflation, the debasement of the dollar, job insecurity, high interest rates, and soaring real estate costs. Each current erodes the reef in its own way. Much like these economic factors erode the stability and growth of the middle class. Inflation acts like a strong current that erodes the base of the reef, weakening its foundation by reducing the purchasing power of the middle class. The debasement of the dollar is akin to the acidification of the ocean, slowly dissolving the reef structure and making it harder for the coral to thrive. Job insecurity is like unpredictable storm waves, constantly battering the reef and making it difficult for life to settle and grow. High interest rates are like an increase in water temperature, creating an inhospitable environment for the coral to expand. Finally, the skyrocketing cost of real estate is similar to a rising sea level, submerging parts of the reef that once were exposed to sunlight and essential for growth. These powerful economic forces impact each generation uniquely, shaping their experiences and prospects in distinct ways. The baby boomers, akin to older established parts of the coral reef, are witnessing the erosion of their retirement savings and fixed incomes due to inflation and the debasement of the dollar, challenging their financial security in their golden years. Generation X, like the middle-aged corals that have weathered many storms, is squeezed from both sides, facing the burden of supporting aging parents while struggling with their own retirement planning amidst unstable job markets and high real estate costs. Millennials are like new corals trying to establish themselves. Burdened by student debt, they find it increasingly difficult to gain a foothold in the middle class due to skyrocketing housing prices and stagnant wages, despite being in their prime working years. And lastly, Generation Z, the youngest and most vulnerable, akin to the fragile coral larvae, faces an uncertain future with limited job security and a gig economy, coupled with the daunting task of building wealth in a landscape where traditional milestones of middle-class stability, such as home ownership, seem increasingly out of reach. Each generation, while facing its unique challenges, is collectively experiencing the strain of these relentless economic currents, reshaping their expectations and realities in the broader ecosystem of the American economy. Imagine the ultimate and inevitable tragic effects of the staggering national debt, which is now over $34 trillion, with the annual cost of interest on this debt being over $745 billion in 2024, and projected to reach over $1.4 trillion by 2033. Just as a coral reef struggles to survive and maintain its biodiversity under these harsh conditions, the middle class faces immense challenges now and in the future in sustaining its standard of living and securing its place in the national and global economic ecosystem. The combined effect of these currents is not just the erosion of a single part of the reef, but a threat to the entire ecosystem, making it almost impossible for new life to find a foothold, and for existing life to prosper as it once did. As we delve into the current state of the middle class, it's fascinating to see how each generation views income and class status differently. Let's explore these perspectives, supported by infographics to highlight the shifts over time. First, the baby boomers, born in the prosperity of the post-war era. For them, the middle class was synonymous with stability and upward mobility. Owning a home, having a steady job, and saving for retirement, and even having an employer-paid pension, were the pillars of their middle-class dream. During this era, income growth and cost of living were more balanced, making this dream more attainable. Next, Generation X witnessed the first major shifts from this earlier reality. Economic recessions and a changing job market began to stretch the middle class. This was the beginning of income stagnation in contrast to rising costs, especially in housing and education. Then come the Millennials, often stereotyped for their struggles. They entered adulthood during the Great Recession, facing unprecedented student debt and a challenging job market. Their earnings and homeownership rates lag behind previous generations at the same age, indicating an increasingly squeezed middle class. Finally, Gen Z, the digital natives. Their view of income in the middle class is being shaped in a rapidly evolving gig economy and a world of social media influences. They experience unique challenges and expectations, like the gig economy's impact on stable income and the rising costs of living in urban areas. Each generation's experience shapes its view of what it means to be middle class, painting a picture of a constantly changing landscape, where the once clear boundaries of this economic class are now more blurred and nuanced than ever. Let's look at how these generational shifts affect the concept of the middle class and what it means for the future of our economy and your place in it. Here are some additional videos discussing the challenges and indicators of the shrinking middle class in America and their middle class struggles. The first is The Catastrophic Destruction of the Middle Class in America by Victor Davis Hanson. Next, Crisis Alert, 15 Alarming Signs for the American Middle Class. And 20 Stunning Pieces of Evidence that show the middle class in America is dying. Next, the U.S. middle class is struggling with financial savings, market losses, and debt. And finally, the middle class meltdown, the alarming crisis facing the middle class in America. These videos cover a range of perspectives and data points that reflect the difficulties faced by the middle class in America today. The middle class, often seen as the backbone of the economy, has always been a bit elusive to define. But let's look at some data to understand it better. According to the Pew Research Center, the middle class includes adults whose annual household income is two-thirds to double the national median, adjusted for household size. Here are some key data points for you to visualize. As of 2023, the national median income in the United States was approximately $68,000 for a household. This translates to a middle-class income range of about $45,000 to $136,000 annually for a typical household. Only 52% of U.S. adults fall into this middle-class range, a significant decrease from 61% in the early 1970s, and most are struggling at the lower end of this range. The cost of living varies greatly across the country, and therefore what it means to be in the middle class also varies widely. For example, a middle-class income in New York City or San Francisco is significantly higher than in more rural areas. This data not only defines the middle class in numbers, but also illustrates the changing economic landscape they navigate. However, these middle-class income figures might paint an overly optimistic picture when we consider the real costs of living. For instance, the average cost of a new home in the U.S. is now hovering around $500,000, a steep climb that outpaces median income growth. This disparity makes homeownership, a key middle-class aspiration, increasingly out of reach for many. Furthermore, the trend of purchasing vehicles on expensive credit terms, with prolonged payment plans, adds a significant financial burden for most families and individuals. Vehicle expenses are no longer just about utility, but have become a symbol of status and ego, leading to higher spending than what might be necessary. Add to this the soaring cost of nutrition. Healthy eating, once a basic expectation, is now a financial challenge for the average American family, with prices for nutritious food rising at an alarming rate. These factors combined mean that the traditional middle-class income numbers vastly underestimate the actual costs associated with maintaining a middle-class lifestyle in today's economy. It's not just about earning within a certain range. It's about how far that income can actually stretch in the face of escalating living expenses. In today's economy, the housing market is a defining factor reshaping the middle-class experience. A stark trend has emerged where the soaring cost of homes is dramatically outpacing income growth, pushing the dream of homeownership further away for many. Consider this. The median home price in the U.S. is now around $500,000, a figure that challenges the financial capabilities of the middle class, historically the backbone of homeownership. Let's take a reality check. With a median-priced home at $500,000, a conventional 20% down payment comes to $100,000, a daunting amount for many households. But the financial stretch doesn't stop there. With the current average interest rate on a 30-year mortgage at 7.1%, financing the remaining $400,000 would mean a monthly mortgage payment of about $2,680, excluding additional costs like property taxes and insurance, but not including things like HOA fees, maintenance, and other ownership costs. For a household earning the median income of approximately $68,000, this mortgage would consume almost half of their gross income, significantly more than the recommended 30% threshold for housing costs required by lenders. This widening gap between income growth and housing costs illustrates a deepening crisis. The middle class, once able to comfortably afford a home, now finds this key aspect of their economic identity slipping away, profoundly altering the landscape of what it means to be middle class in the modern era. In today's rapidly changing economy, there's a striking disparity between the perception of the middle class and its reality. The traditional view of the middle class, a stable job, a comfortable home, and a secure retirement, is increasingly becoming a relic of the past. Perception often paints the middle class as living comfortably with moderate financial security. This image is rooted in a bygone era when steady employment meant steady growth in wealth and opportunities. However, the reality for today's middle class tells a very different story. In reality, many who like to identify as middle class are grappling with stagnant wages, soaring costs of living, and precarious job security. The cost of essentials like healthcare, education, and housing has skyrocketed, but incomes haven't kept pace. For example, the median household income has grown modestly over the past decades, but it doesn't reflect the increased financial burden of these essential costs. The result is a middle class that's not only shrinking, but also struggling to maintain its standard of living. This stark contrast between perception and reality highlights the urgent need for economic and policy changes to address the challenges faced by what was once considered the backbone of the American economy. But governmental policy changes aren't a magic bullet either, since for all practical purposes, the federal government is literally bankrupt and incapable of doing anything other than increasing taxes again on almost everyone. In an economy marked by the actual shrinking value of the US dollar and escalating costs, what does it actually take to live as a thriving middle-class family today? Let's break down the numbers, factoring in the essentials like housing, transportation, taxes, education, entertainment, travel, and nourishing food. First, housing. With median home prices around $500,000 and interest rates at 7.1%, a family would need a substantial income to afford the mortgage, taxes, and upkeep. A conservative estimate puts this at around $150,000 annually. Transportation, including car payments, insurance, and maintenance, for a middle-class family can average around $15,000 per year, assuming modest vehicles and typical commuting distances. Taxes take a significant chunk too. For a family earning $150,000, federal, state, and local taxes could easily reduce this by a third, leaving about $100,000. Education costs, particularly if private schooling or college savings are included, can vary widely. But let's allocate $10,000 annually for a conservative estimate. For healthful food, a family of four can spend upwards of $12,000 per year, reflecting the rising costs of nutritious options. Entertainment and travel are part of a balanced lifestyle. A modest estimate for family vacations, outings, and hobbies could be around $10,000 annually. So, adding it all up, a family would need a gross income of at least $150,000 to comfortably cover these expenses. However, this figure doesn't account for savings, investments, or emergency funds, which are critical for long-term financial health and unexpected expenses. This analysis reveals a stark reality. The traditional expectations of a middle-class lifestyle are now accessible only at income levels that are significantly higher than what the median American household earns. The middle class, in terms of lifestyle, therefore, seems to be shifting upwards in terms of income requirements, reflecting the growing disparity between income growth and the cost of living. So, as we conclude our journey through the evolving landscape of the middle class, let's reflect on the vital insights we've gathered. Today's middle class faces unique challenges with rising living costs and stagnating wages reshaping what it means to lead a comfortable life. The dream of homeownership, once a middle-class staple, is now a daunting aspiration due to skyrocketing housing prices and interest rates. Our discussion highlighted the gap between the traditional perception of middle-class stability and the realities of economic strain many currently endure. But this is more than a story of challenges. It's a call to action. To thrive in this shifting economic landscape, it's essential to embrace all 8 facets of a truly wealthy lifestyle. This means not only developing multiple income streams, but also living on an intelligent budget, working diligently to get out of debt, and advocating for political causes that champion hard work, fiscal responsibility, and just and fair economic initiatives. The key to surviving and thriving in this day and age is education, personal responsibility, and action. Let's each do our part in restoring the healthy ecosystem of the coral reef that is our world. I encourage you to stay actively engaged with our Prosper and Create Real Wealth channel and community. Here, we're not just discussing economic trends. We're building a community dedicated to creating and sustaining wealth in every sense. Share your experiences, strategies, and insights in the comments below. How are you navigating these economic times? Let us know what steps are you taking toward building a diversified financial foundation. Remember, your engagement here is more than just support for the channel. It's a step toward empowering yourself and others in the journey toward financial resilience and prosperity. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores, educates, and empowers. Together, let's continue to learn, grow, and advocate for a financial future that rewards hard work, prudent living, and a commitment to helping others who are also seeking a better life. Thanks for watching, and let's keep building every facet of a life of true wealth. See you in the next Prosper and Create Real Wealth video.